So this is Nax and Shahan again on Footy Focus Podcast Episode 2. Episode 1 was a relative success despite all the criticism from mates and stuff. But
no, I think we had at least... I know at least 2 other people listened to it because I was with them when we listened to it.
And I forced another 2 to listen to it, so that's 4. So that's good.
I
It's a
listened
good
to it
start.
about 6 times and you did as well.
I listened to
so
it just twice, but
that's
that's
good.
okay.
Almost 20 views, which is... listens. Off to a flying start.
So we'll go lead with the first topic of the day. So
yes, some of the feedback we got was that we talked too much about footy.
stop talking about footy pretty much.
Yeah, it might be a little bit hard just because the title of our podcast is called Footy Focus, because that's majority of our half an hour here will focus on footy. But I guess we can talk about other stuff as well. So
What, superheroes or?
oh no.
Maybe next time.
We're going to lose listeners. Maybe if we're desperate.
Targeting 8-year-olds. So real topic that Shahan brought up that is footy related but also relates to real life, I guess, as well.
Let's talk about the other footy first.
Oh, the other footy first, okay.
Because we wanted, according to our feedback, we talked too much about footy. So let's talk about
So that one. So
football.
Yeah, so football. So the different kind of football, the world game. So the Champions League semi-finals were over last weekend. So the 2 EPL clubs, Liverpool and Tottenham, both came back from 0-3 deficits in the semi to both make the Champions League finals. That was pretty remarkable.
So it was a semi-final, yeah?
So it was a semi-final.
So they have 2 matches. One played in...
Away.
So that was played in Barcelona, was it, the first time?
First one was in Barcelona.
Okay. And they won 4-0 against...
4-1, I think it was.
4-1 against Liverpool.
Okay, stand to be corrected. But yeah, they were facing 0-3 deficit in the second leg.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point, they both came back to win. I think one scored in the 96th minute, 6 minutes of overtime, and the other one scored, I think, in the 89th or 91st minute. So, pretty, I guess, remarkable finish. It's the first time it's ever happened, I think, and they happen, I guess, on successive days. So
it's an aggregate, yeah?
Aggregate. So it's based on, so if you tie up, so it's based on the number of away goals. So that's what gets preference. So that's how they both went through.
Right. Okay. So Liverpool played Barcelona in London or where?
So it was in Anfield.
Okay.
Anfield. So that's that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we both know that, don't we?
Yeah, and they won 4-0.
They won 4-1, I think, in the second leg.
That's unbelievable, yeah.
So it's pretty big
well,
comebacks and happen, I guess, on successive days. So, and Shahan, what's your non-football topic or football topic?
Do you want to talk a bit about the basketball as well? It's NBA, the finals are on. So just for our basketball listener, I think we have one.
Who, me? Okay.
Yamit, maybe?
Yeah. So, the
Prashant,
NBA...
who jumps on board whenever the finals are on?
Oh, that's with every sport. Pretends like he knows stuff. Anyway, shout out Prashant. So NBA. So there's 2 Game 7s today in the second round.
Prashant can tune out. He probably knows all this. But
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, he can probably stay off for the next 2 minutes. But, today was made history today because Kawhi Leonard hit a game winner in Game 7 today. So that's the first game winner in Game 7 of a playoff. So, again, for the non-NBA followers, it's the best of 7 game series. I think it's a 3rd game winner in a playoff to end the series in the last 20 years. So
cool.
That was pretty cool. So we'll talk more about that next week when the playoffs advance.
Yeah, or you can listen to our basketball podcast.
Just on Tuesdays.
All right, enough about world sport. Now let's get back on to let's focus on the footy.
So we'll go with Shahan's great idea.
Yeah, so another bit of feedback, some serious feedback we got, how we can relate footy to everyday issues, maybe which the non-football follower can follow. And last week, a Melbourne player he was drinking just at a bar or something, and someone took a photo of him with the beer in his hand, and it made the news because Stephen May, that player, was injured and he was in rehabilitation.
So there was a drinking ban, was there?
Yeah. So the players have a pact, I think, when they're injured they can't drink.
Just not every club.
Not every club, no. And I think in the media they were saying Joe Danaher from Essendon was in a similar position a couple of years ago, and then it didn't draw as much criticism as May
because the club
has.
shut it down though. So that was, I think, the difference, wasn't it? So Worsfold shut it down in the press conference. I think he said
Right. Okay. Yeah.
it wasn't that big of a deal.
Is that because Danaher was a sort of a senior member and he has a bit more credits in the bank, whereas May, he just joined this year and
He had a bad run, obviously, in the pre-season.
yeah,
He hasn't started off on the best foot.
yeah. So I guess in clubland, that's a decent excuse, reason why May did receive a bit of criticism. But is it fair to treat players differently? Yeah, like if you're in a club.
Well, I think the differentiating factor is the rehab part of it. So I think if he's I guess going through rehab, he's not allowed to drink. So if he was back in the main group, I think, which Danaher was, I think he'd started training again. So I think he was technically injured, but he was back in training again. So I think that's the difference. I don't think there's any indication he was drunk or anything like that. There's probably been enough focus on the guy that took the picture and sent it to the club or sent it to the journalist as well. I don't think it's pretty low act, I think, to send it to was it the journalist or did he send it to the club? One of the two, but
because later it came out he had some personal issues as well. So I guess there's context to everything.
And again, I think if Melbourne were 5-2 instead of 2-5,
maybe it wasn't his drink. Maybe he was passing that beer across the table. So
speculation. I think Shahan knows more about this story than most.
But no, that was interesting. I don't know. I think in a club it would be good to have everyone treated equally. So if the captain was drinking like that,
then everyone else can.
If he was, he shouldn't have that luxury. But I know in real life it doesn't work like that. So I guess younger players or people that are trying to build that reputation they've got to earn the respect, I guess. So when you have that respect, it's like in Danaher's situation, you probably do have a bit of leeway.
So you think it'd turn off, I guess, aspiring footballers if they were to see the fallout of that?
Yeah, okay.
Because I think a lot of Aussie guys, even 19 to 20-year-olds, have a few casual drinks on a weekend. And if you see the blow up about that, I mean, there's other sports they can play. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm sure the players drink at home.
Well, I think that's maybe the difference. Yeah. But they just have no privacy now. They can't go for a casual drink.
Yeah, they just can't
in
do
a pub.
It. Like,
everything's on social media.
It's not banned. So that's an interesting topic. Okay.
So next topic, something we are grateful for in footy.
Oh yeah, this
so
is how we normally start our podcast.
Yeah, so this is second topic of the day, but we'll keep this one going.
Okay.
So we'll lead with you, Shahan.
So I'm grateful for the evenness of the competition.
That's good.
So about 10 or 15 years ago, there were the good teams, like the really good teams. There were average teams and there were poor teams, and you sort of knew the result going into the game. Like upsets were pretty rare. But in today's game, the AFL, they've done a good job about making the competition much more even for everyone.
Equalisation, right?
Yeah, equalisation's working pretty well. And they've done that through drafting and free agency, and so this week, the first place team played the 17th place team, and the 17th place team got within 10 points in the last quarter, 10 minutes to go in the last quarter, in fact.
17th place team has a name. What's that?
Don't worry about the name. And also, the second place team played the 18th, the last team, and the last team, they were up by 11 points with about 10 minutes to go. So 10 years ago, this would have been amazing if this happened, but today it's happening more often. So I'm really grateful that every supporter they go into a game knowing they could win. So yeah, in the end, Geelong and Collingwood, they turned out to be too good for the Kangaroos and Blues. But I think
we only need to be probably 5% off these days, and you probably lose. You saw what happened to the Giants on the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
They were a little bit off and then go down.
So I think that's why maybe TV audiences are at an all-time high. How about you, Shanika? What are you grateful for?
So mine's one of the new rules, 666. So it just meant more one-on-one context in the forward half. So I think you can see the increasing impact of key forwards these days who can take contested marks. Guys like Norton, Harry... Oh, sorry, Ben McKay. No, not Ben McKay. Harry's the good one, isn't he?
He's injured, I think.
Okay.
Just try to swap them. They're identical, so I don't know. Might work.
Yeah, I much prefer Harry anyway, but that's all right. And Tabernar as well from Freo. They're
He's
just probably...
He's got a much more marketable name, Harry, over Ben. There's too many Bens, I think.
It's a common name, isn't it? Yeah, but they're probably... And they're just some of the names that I guess have shot to prominence this year. You didn't used to see it in the past. I remember back in the day when I used to watch Carey and all those type of names. They used to have a lot of one-on-ones, and that's why...
That's definitely true.
Even in finals where the use of flooding and the extra man back, you don't used to see it that much. You can even see it on the flip side with teams like Port and the Tigers. They're missing Dixon and Rewalt, guys that even if they don't mark it, they bring the ball to the ground for the crummers. So I think that's been a really good rule. I'm biased towards forwards anyway, but that's it's been really positive to see, I think.
Because so now teams can't start the spare in defence. So if you get the quick ball in from the centre clearance, the defenders are probably too busy worrying about their own man to like cut across and intercept or punch the ball out. So I 100% agree with you.
Well, it hasn't taken off the spare man completely, but it's less now. Yeah. I mean, some games last year you used to see spare man back on both sides for the whole game. So you don't really see it as much.
I went to the Kangaroos Geelong game, and a couple of seconds, kick into the forward 50. Ben Brown was on the lead, and there was no one cutting across. So even on the lead, not even contested mark, there's just that space. So.
And you'd love to have that as a key forward.
Exactly, yeah.
Good seats, by the way.
Good what?
Good seats.
Oh, yeah, they were really good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Shano got me Medallion Club seats again.
Second week in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to do for me now.
I walked over to the coach's box as well.
What? So Roos one?
Roos one and the Geelong one. My friend was in the Geelong one, so I was...
Oh, sure.
Saw him, yeah.
Okay. The most liked, I guess, new rule that the AFL has brought in this year. I'll kick off. So again, back to the 666. Not for, I guess, the forwards and their contested marking ability. I guess it's far easier to come back now if you get a run on. So you saw that on the weekend with Port down 44 points. Got on top in the centre square, kicked 5 goals within about 7 to 8 minutes. You didn't used to see that in the past. Even back last season, you might kick 2 or 3 in a row. They put a spare man back. You can even see it in the D's Gold Coast game where there was, I think, 3 scoring shots in the last 49 seconds. I mean, again, 21 seconds, I think, left. Tied game. You'd just have Gold Coast would have just put numbers back last season, whereas this year, Hampshire probably kicked that goal, but McDonald scraped the point in. So you can see, I guess, the rise of players in the centre square that can break away. I mean, Dangerfield was already doing it anyway, but I think that's probably been the biggest difference in Lachie Neale. He's probably gone from a gun, I guess, an underperforming side to probably Brownlow favourite at the moment. So you can see what kind of impact that's had.
It's just that centre break, and then you get that extra space to run a bit more and then have a shot from even outside 50.
The dominant ruckman's shot up in Providence too. You can see Brody Gunny. I think that was the first game where someone's had 45 disposals, 45 hit out, 25 disposals, 2 goals. So
definitely.
Sean.
So I want to talk a bit about on Friday night how it's a negative of mine is just that the AFL, they always try to save their asses. Dane Rampy from the Sydney Swans climbed the goalpost in the dying seconds.
What Tarzan?
Yeah, exactly. When David Myers was having a shot. So that technically, even the AFL CEO admitted that should have been a free kick to Essendon on the goal line pretty much, and would have won them the game. But the umpire came and they sort of the AFL do this now and then. They twist the rules or the wording to
suit their
interpretation. Yeah, exactly.
Decision.
So it would have made the AFL look bad if they'd come out and said, "Oh, we got that wrong. We're going to reverse. We're going to take the win away from Sydney, or give it to Essendon, or not give it to Essendon, or whatever," because it has too many negative repercussions. Like the gambling is affected. It would be a massive issue. Like potentially down the track, one of the teams might miss finals by a game. So it would be good to see the AFL admitting when they were wrong, but they're just predictable. They're just going to save themselves. So,
not to talk about the NBA again, but they do a last 2 minute report. It's for every game.
Yeah.
So they released that after the game, and they talk about all the decisions made in the last 2 minutes and whether they were wrong or right.
Are they
And a lot of
honest
the
about it?
And they're honest about it. And sometimes they'll even pick up decisions which you didn't even know about and say that was wrong, and that cost the team a free throw or
so does
extra
do they
possession.
change the result?
They never change the result, but it's just for transparency. I think NBA is probably the best league in that. Where they'll actually admit to their flaws. They'll actually admit they got something wrong.
But I guess in the AFL's defense, they did get this one wrong, the umpires. But the umpires get stuff wrong. They get stuff wrong like 10 times a game. Yeah. So I guess the AFL can't go back and review all them decisions because in the end, another decision could have gone Essendon's way, which shouldn't have, and they could have got a goal through that, because that does happen a lot of times a game. This just happened to happen in the last second, so the attention's going to be focused on that.
I think the AFL website, they've got that thing where they ask an umpire about the decisions. With the Anzac Day clash, I think they ticked off all 5 decisions that were, I guess, the contentious ones, and when players stopped in the middle of play. But again, I think. I think admit when you're wrong, and I think more people than not will be happy.
I guess they could still think about it more. They could still admit they got that wrong, but they're not going to change the result.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be more happy with that than them AFL trying to justify.
Maybe not as an Essendon supporter, but as a supporter of 18 clubs, they
could just say what I said. They could just say that we got that wrong, but we also got this wrong early in the game, and that
which could have cost Sydney a goal. Yeah,
exactly. So. In the end of the day, I think umpiring sort of balances itself out. You're not going to lose a premiership because of bad umpiring. So we might get into our next segment, which is the not so obvious player of the round. So we all know Grundy, Cripps, Tim Kelly had really good games, but Shanu's got a Bulldogs father and son, all not from his father didn't play for the Bulldogs.
Picked up one other club.
Yeah. So who did you pick?
So Josh Dunkley. So I thought he was the MVP. I watched, I guess, most of that Lions-Dogs game, doing my research this week. I thought he was the MVP of that game. It was a pretty scrappy contest, but I thought the Dogs being 4-4, they're backed up, I guess, the big scalp of the Tigers last week with another big win. So hopefully they can keep that going. But I just thought he dominated 36 possessions. I think the key stat was 24 contested possessions. Career high for him, 10 clearances, kicked a crucial goal before 3/4 time.
He kicks goals, doesn't he? Yeah. He gets forward for a midfielder. Might not be the best kick at goal.
That's always been the knock on him.
Yeah, I think. He does have a weird kicking style, but he definitely has shots. So
well, I think he has that great balance with Lockie Hunter. I think Lockie Hunter's really great on the outside, and he's really good on the inside. So he's got a brother Kyle who could get picked up in the upcoming mid-season draft too. So. Could be a second Dunkley around the corner, but I thought he was pretty special on the weekend. Right. Well, I like your one too.
I picked Shia Bolton, a 20-year-old from Richmond. So Dimmer wasn't giving him games because he wanted to work on his defensive side in the VFL, but looks like he has done that, and he had 7 tackles on the weekend to go along with 4 goals, and he was probably the best, probably the difference and the best on ground as well. So very electric. He's got good skills like most of the Richmond supporters do, and he had a really good game. So
does some special things. I thought that kick was like the inside out torque from about 50. Not many players can do that, but he didn't play in the Premiership, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't play many games last year. He's probably playing because Rioli's not playing, to be honest. But no, he should get the Rising Star this week, and Tigers. Yeah, I think that he's already signed up, so he was going to get traded last year. He wanted to. He was on the table, I guess, but no, they've got a good one there, and they should definitely keep him.
He's got Dustin Martin managed, doesn't he? Ralph Carr.
Oh, right.
I think that's his manager, so see if we can get him a $6 million deal.
I think North Melbourne might offer him 10 years on $8 million or something.
Yeah, well, if you're offering a call like that, then anyway.
Okay, so we might go. Speaking of rising stars, who's your not so obvious young player?
So on the weekend, he's probably the obvious one on the weekend, but I think overall, Marty Hoare. So pick 56 for the Demons, so that's a 4th round pick. So I think he's back-to-back VFL best and fairest for the Pies in the VFL. So got picked up from there, obviously on that form, and kicked that game-tying goal from 50 with about 20 seconds left versus the Suns. Yeah, I think he's been one of the bright spots of Melbourne's year so far.
They had Fitch last year and all this year, so they're finding these good mature age players.
Yeah, from the VFL. So it wasn't the most impressive win. I don't think it's gonna send shivers down. I guess
lucky,
Collingwood or Geelong, anyone like that, but. It kept their season alive, which I guess is the main thing when you're not playing well, to get the 4 points.
Yeah,
so,
definitely not.
Averaging 18 touches and 6 marks a game, which aren't the highest numbers, but for a first-year player, I think
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he uses the ball well as well, and a mature age 23-year-old. So, I think he's been really good so far. And, well worth the 4th round pick.
Yeah, definitely.
And Shahan, who's your one? Is it someone from North?
It is actually. How did you know? I can read my mind. I picked up Nick Larkey as my not so obvious rising star. This was his 6th game, I think. He played a couple of games a couple of years ago, none last year, but he won the EFL Gold King last year. So he's picked 73 in the 2006 16 draft. A bit like Drew Petrie, he wears his number 20, and he had 18 touches on the weekend, 5 marks. Should have probably kicked 2 or 3 goals, but he just got the 1. He had 13 score involvement. So
13?
every time, so
From 18 touches.
From 18 touches, and the second highest was Tim Kelly with 10 score involvement. So he led well, he marked well, he makes good decisions. So I think to get a good player like that late in the draft is very rare. Like you rarely get 50 game wins. Yeah. So now if he can develop into a decent centre-half forward, then North have done well.
Give Brown a bit of a chop out.
Exactly, he's just straightened us up a bit, so he's been good.
We'll talk about the unsung recruit of the week. Been a lot of recruits last off-season.
I'm running out of them though, so I have to dig a bit.
Yeah,
the unsung one's a bit hard to we might, yes, because there's obvious ones like Tom Lynch and
Unless you'll just talk about Polak or Pittard every week. So
I could.
So who's your final unsung recruit of the year?
It might be actually. It was Sam Lloyd. He used to play for Richmond. I thought he was pretty good for Richmond, but for whatever reason couldn't get any games last couple of years. But I think he's played all but 1 maybe games for Western Bulldogs, and he's had a good game on the weekend. He had 19 touches, 13 contested. Can you believe that?
That's not normally his strength. I thought he was an outside.
But 4 of them were free kicks, and a free kick is a contested possession.
There's still 9 contested possessions.
Exactly, and 2 contested marks, and he's covering a lot of ground, and he's kicking goals as well, which he probably should as a forward, and with a surname like Lloyd. But
what's his heat map like?
His what?
What's his heat map like?
Oh, there's a cool heat map.
Where's he getting his touches?
He's getting a lot in the forward line, as you'd expect. But no, he's covering good ground, and he's picked an ex-Bulldogs player as yours.
He's a good icing on the cake, I think. Pretty unlucky to miss out on the premiership as well.
Bontempelli.
Well, Sam Lloyd was the next pick, wasn't he? Who's the first emergency in that flag?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
There you go. Meaning the stat. So my one is Jordan Roughhead. I think the lack of a quality key tall probably cost the Pies a flag last season. Goldsack was forced to play as a number 1 key option. I think he's a great 2nd or 3rd option, but he was forced to play on Kennedy. I think Chris maybe had to play on Darling, and I think they just monstered them, especially in that second half. So the difference between, I guess, a premiership was probably that lack of a key tall. I think. Especially with Darcy Moore, I think they've formed a really good combo.
Yeah, so they've got Moore and Roughhead, and they've got who's the other guy?
Crisp? No,
the
Goldsack.
Melbourne player who marks Jeremy Howe. He's also pretty tall, so he can cut across and intercept. Yeah. So with them 3, I think that's a pretty good defense to man up on. Well,
he's no nonsense. He's not gonna, I guess, come streaming out of the back line, but I think he's done his job, and I think no key forwards have got a hold of the Pies this season, which I think. It's a big difference for them not to have to worry about I guess the next monster to come in against them.
Yeah, okay. We might talk a bit about the Smoky All-Australians. So
there's less Smokies every week at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, we might have to dig deeper. But you picked a Greater West Sydney player.
Yeah, so Zach Williams from the Giants. You can see why they rushed him back, I guess, from that Achilles tear in the finals last season. Played maybe one game the whole year, and then rushed him back for, I think it was the semi-final last season. You can see why. He just makes a massive difference to them from the back line. Dash creativity, makes the odd mistake from time to time.
But he gives them that run and dash, which...
Well, no one on the list really gives them that.
Is Whitfield injured at the moment? I think he might.
Whitfield's injured at the
he's
moment.
Not there, so it's down to him from the half-back line.
Yeah, they really need him. I think Haynes is you're more floating across third man up, and I think he's that guy that, especially from the kick-in, just gives a bit of run to them. I think he's been a really good element in them. I honestly didn't think Giants would make the finals this season after all the players they lost. But I guess despite the weekend's result, I think they're probably in the top 3 or 4 vying for that premiership. So,
But they had a bad week this week.
Oh, shocking week. We'll talk about that a bit later, but that was not good. And Sean, who's yours?
Mine is a man by the name of Hugh McGluggage. So,
can you say that again?
Funny name, Hugh McGluggage.
Okay.
I think I might have spelled it wrong here, but but he's a gun. He was a draft pick number 3 a couple of years ago. He had 26 possessions and 7 tackles on the week. Oh, he's averaging that actually. No, wait. That was on the weekend, yeah. He can kick really good goals. He's good below his knees and he's just silky. So
good finisher.
Yeah, exactly. Probably the second best mid after Lucky Neal at the Lions. So, so in his draft class, Andy McGrath went first for Essendon and Tim Taranto went 2 for Greater Sydney. But I'd probably have McGluggage better than those two at this stage.
Taranto's been very hyped this season, but McGluggage isn't really getting that attention at all.
McGluggage, he's got less support in the midfield. Only Neil really, and maybe Berry is another kid his age, whereas Taranto has a couple more experienced midfielders. But Hugh McGluggage is developing nicely.
So we'll wrap up the showdown now. Showdown 47. My boys Port went down to Adelaide. I thought Adelaide's really done well the last 4 weeks to come back from 1 and 3.
They're like third on the ladder or something.
Third on the ladder,
That's unbelievable. I thought their season was shot when we beat them.
Yeah, I think I still don't think they're probably in premiership contention, but I think the last 4 weeks they've really put emphasis on defence. Only conceding about 57 points a game, which is I don't know if that's a world record, but they're doing really well. I think facing a depleted Port. I thought Keith's probably an All-Australian smoky, probably not after the week. I think he's
like 27-year-old ex-cricketer. Potential All-Australian.
Well, he's 27. Adelaide just seem to keep finding players. No Lever.
They're good at finding defenders, aren't they? Like Phil Davis, Talia.
They had Lever, Duday, and Duday's injured. Now Keith probably replaced him. So I thought Keith was a worthy showdown medalist.
Key defender.
Yeah, I think Tom Lynch has returned back to form too. Don't think Josh Jenkins is going to get a game for another couple of weeks now. Himmelberg's doing really well. I thought Riley O'Brien too was really good as well. I thought that's where we get on top with Dysett and Ryder, but I thought he broke even. So,
what about the midfield battle? Did Port's midfield Ebert didn't play?
No, so it was only that last quarter Rockcliffe and Boak got on top. Apart from that, I thought Adelaide just dominated. Crouch brothers played really well. Sloan was busy as usual.
Are the kids tiring a bit? I know Butters didn't play, but
Butters got managed. Rosie probably had his quietest game all season. Wasn't the best conditions as well. And I think we can't rely on those first year players to carry us. I don't think any finals team ever has. So I think once we get back to big names, we should rise up a little bit. The next 3 are pretty winnable, so we should get to 7 and 4 at the bye. So if we can do that, then we're ahead.
I think any team was going to struggle if you take away 3 or 4 of your best 6 or 7 players. So
7 or 8, I think. 7 or 8 are top 15.
2 captains in place. Now Adelaide's playing good footy at the moment, and Port just injury hit
at the moment. So we're going to your game, Sean. You went to the match yesterday.
So you were
no
very
excuse
generous
for not preparing
to give me some more tickets. So I went there, and I was expecting. I thought we were like maybe a sneaky chance at a win. Because Geelong, they've been up for so long, and today's competition, when you're up for several weeks, you normally play a bad game and drop one. So But yeah, we weren't bad.
No disgrace at all.
Yeah, no, the effort was definitely there. We just lacked that skill and that polish. Like, even our polished ball users like Sean Higgins and Polak, they couldn't hit the target. They missed shots on goal. The media saying it came down to Geelong being just a bit more classy, but I think the class players were going to do that anyway. So I think it came down to us not taking our opportunities in front of goal. So if we were just a bit more accurate, we kicked 1 goal 6 again for the third time this year in the first quarter. So if we'd done that well, we might have won. But
I think Kelly and Ablett were probably the difference in the end, weren't they? Just a bit of class in finishing.
I said I just disagreed with that because I said the difference was our inability to convert.
So I think if you got on top early, you would have been in front at the start.
If we just kicked straight, we could have, potentially won. And Geelong, they were really good. They did kick a few amazing goals as well. Like Kelly and Clark kicked a couple of goals from outside 50, which were amazing. And Ablett sealed it with a very good snap. But otherwise, it was a good, entertaining game. And thank you for the tickets.
That's the third shout out of the day.
Alright, so we might get into some quick questions now. So just maybe one word out. I don't know.
Yeah, I got one word answers, so I'll give you one.
Well, maybe just justify why.
Yeah, maybe not one word answers.
Alright, what's your question?
So for this one, biggest impact of the mid-season draft, that's coming up.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Because you had the good answer to this one.
Did I say? Oh, if Adelaide, if they can find another small forward to help out Betts or some outside polish, they might, set themselves up.
Someone like a Charlie Cameron.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. This is mine. Go.
So I'm just drinking tea.
Do you think the Lions or the Dogs will play finals this year, if you were to pick one?
I was going to say neither, but I reckon Lions are more of a chance. I think Dogs just...
with the homegrown advantage up at the Gamba.
Yeah, just too inconsistent. I think Lions have banked a few wins early, which will stand them in good stead. They've knocked off a few good sides too. I think unless Bont keeps delivering, they're just probably over-relying on Bont and even Norton as well as a second-year player to really carry them. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because if Norton doesn't fire, then who have they got?
Yeah, they don't really have
Sam Lloyd.
Second tour. And I'll give you one. So Josh Dunkley or Lockie Hunter, who would you rather?
Probably Lockie Hunter. He's just a bit more reliable and he's a bit more experienced.
Better use of the ball.
Yeah, he is. The Bulldogs midfield, they do overpossess it a bit. They sort of dish it around. But yeah, at this stage, Lockie Hunter. Has Jared Ruffhead played his final game for his career?
Ooh. I don't think he's going to get picked this week, even though he kicked 5 goals.
Did you see him coaching the other one of the Williams?
Ruben Williams,
players?
yeah. Well, he might be one of the players that gets picked up.
So Ruffhead kicked 6 in the VFL, and then he was lining up on an opponent, and then he was coaching his opponent where to run. So there's some video, which was really nice of him.
I don't think he was sabotaging too, so I think
Ruffhead's
that's
a legend, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's played his final game. He won't get picked this week probably, but I think, if they make finals especially, I can't see him not being in the team. So
this can lead on to my hot take pretty well. Because earlier this week, Alistair Clarkson dropped Ruffhead. So Ruffhead's probably like one of the most likeable players in the competition. And Clarkson wanted to develop the younger players and fast-track their development. So off Ruffhead went to Box Hill. And it paid off, like Mitchell Lewis or Lewis Mitchell, whatever his name is.
Jordan Lewis, yeah.
No.
Sam Mitchell? No.
Yeah, the tall forward. He grabbed his chance and did well. And the young Hawks, they beat the favourite GWS. So I think more coaches need to be like Clarkson, be a bit more ruthless when it comes to team selection.
Don't worry about reputations.
Exactly, yeah. Like put emotions aside. If the players, regardless of who they are, if they're playing shit, if they're not performing to their standard, then they should be dropped. They might have credits, yes, they might have been a good leader, a good person, whatever, but I think the more coaches have Clarkson's mentality, the better the game will be because, supporters will be happier, you'll get better results. like Brad Scott kept playing Drew Petrie when he was cooked a couple of years ago, only for him to retire at the end of the year. So if he maybe didn't play, Petrie, and gave another kid a chance, we might have fast-tracked Nick Larkey's development. Who knows? But yeah, what do you think? Do you agree?
I think that's one of the conversations he had. So he had the same conversation with Hodge, Mitchell and Lewis, and they all, I guess, elected to either retire and come back like Hodge or I guess get moved to another club. I think that was part of the conversation with Roughhead last year. I think he was well aware of the possibility of him being, I guess, dropped at some stage. But again, I think that sent a message, I think, to the rest of the group that they were all on notice.
I guess it comes down to managing people, because that's what coaching is about, So Alistair Clarkson must have a really good relationship with all these players.
Roughhead even went on TV and talked about it as well. You wouldn't say that at the other 17 clubs, probably.
Because if they were upset about it, he'd walk out of the club or whatever. But no, I think Clarkson's doing... No wonder he's a great coach. What's your hot take? Do you have a team on the...
my former club Essendon. So, my former club pre-97. So, the Dons. I think...
well, they haven't played... they haven't won a final for like 15 years. So you made the right choice.
Yeah, 2004. That's when Port won the premiership. So, I cannot believe that stat. But yeah, I think...
You reckon they might go another year without winning a final?
Yeah, I just don't think that any chance of making finals, let alone winning. I just hate to be a supporter of the Dons right now. I think they went through that period where probably the whole of the footy world gave them a let off with all that drug saga and players being suspended. But I mean, they've had their players back for, I guess, probably the second year with all the players back now. I thought they were the most impressive team of the second half of the season last year. Really finished off the season well. Again, I thought they were the most hyped side in the pre-season.
They don't have any key forwards. Like Danaher's injured, Stewart's injured, Mitch Brown's injured. So pre-season draft might be another good opportunity for them to look for a key position player.
Yeah, it's not a bad option for them. I think the start of the season really poorly. Lost to the Giants, didn't really show anything in that game. Even against the Saints last week, they were just low on confidence. I think they probably just teased the footy word a little bit the next 3 weeks, especially that game against Collingwood. Even though they lost, I think came back from 5 goals down, really finished the game really strongly. But I think they've lost the last 3 now 3 and 5.
They've beaten Melbourne and the Kangaroos, who were terrible at that time, and Brisbane Lions team who was like,
I think
on the down,
had an off week. So after winning, I think 3,
exactly,
first three matches. So I think no Danaher. I think even without no Danaher, playing the bottom team in Sydney, Swans have a shocking record at the MCG the last couple of years. No Buddy as well, who's pretty much the whole forward line. Should still be an easy win, but even though they probably should have won with Myers having that free kick at the end. But they're just a tease of the football team at the moment, and I don't think their next final win is anytime soon.
Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree. It's a bit like the Kangaroos. I feel the frustration of Essendon supporters. But yeah, I guess that's a wrap then. So it's been a pretty long podcast. I'm surprised if anyone's listening.
We'll edit it.
39th minute. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. We might just try to refine what we say for our future podcast. But no, it's been good. Been a good discussion. Let's have a quick look at what the next round of footy, round 9, has. Any good games? We're just looking at it now.
Eagles D's?
Nah, that's shit. Collingwood, St Kilda, again pretty average, I guess.
So many good matches this round.
I think Brisbane, Adelaide might be interesting. Brisbane, they're good at home, and Adelaide on the up. Essendon, Fremantle might be good.
Yeah, Essendon really need to bounce back after last week.
Yeah.
That switched.
Roos, Sydney, that might be, I don't know, the bottom of the ladder sort of thing.
Port Sun should be an easy win, hopefully.
Oh, I don't know. The Suns, they're not bad, aren't they? It might be closer than you think. Richmond, Hawthorn, that should be pretty good. Yeah, that's probably the match of the round, to be honest. Richmond and Hawthorn.
There's no really top 8 teams versus top 8 teams this round.
No. So yeah, we'll maybe do a wrap of one of the games next week. But Any last words?
I hate superheroes.